All right, those were just some of our partners. And the next thing I want to do is use this opening ceremony as an opportunity to bring on somebody special in this space. We usually use this hour to talk about what all of us are excited about in the future. And today I'm excited to welcome Sandeep from Polygon. We're going to cover a lot of things about the future of the space, India, Web3, and a man who needs no introduction, of course, here. Super honored to have the chance to share the stage with you. Welcome, Sandeep.
Thanks.
So, we've known each
other.
other.
First of all, when I came here and I entered this hall, my first reaction was, what the fuck did we do? I was standing with the DevFolio people, ETHGlobal, as we were talking about 2018 when we started, and look where we are today. I was thinking even taking a pic and sending to Vitalik, let's see what did we do. Because I met him in 2019 somewhere and I was saying that, India is going to be the biggest ecosystem and all that. And he's like, yeah, we'll see. And today, here we are. So
I remember you in 2018, back when it used to be called Matic.
Yes.
Handing out t-shirts to people at the Matic booth. And here we are seeing an incredible progress and growth in the last 4 years. My first question to you is, focusing on the personal side, tell us about your personal journey into Web3 and how you got started.
Yeah. So I started back in the day in 2015, when end of 2015, when I was doing my previous startup, and it was B2B and it was not scaling as fast as I ever thought. And I thought that I want to go into the deep tech space. And I had heard about Bitcoin back in 2013. But initially, that time I thought that, it did not just make sense to me, right? So then in 2016, when 15 and then when I first went into AI a little bit, and then, heard about Bitcoin again, I thought that, what? This thing is still alive? This is still around? What's going on here? So then I, went into that Bitcoin white paper and all that. And I actually did not see it as money and, changing the money at that point in time. I, had a good understanding of geopolitics and all that. And I realized that, okay, this makes sense. But what I saw as an engineer, I thought is that this is basically somebody built this decentralized network, which is right now solving a small computation, small logic, which is payment logic. You pay to me, A minus B, amount, and B's balance goes up. And I thought at that time, what if we could do complex business logic at, in this kind of setting? That could be useful for a lot of things. And then, I was on and off and all that. And then 3-4 weeks into this, I, stumbled on Ethereum. And I think Ethereum then went from 50 cents to $9 and all that. And I read, the first line I read, generalized smart contracts and this, and I said, oh shit, this is big. Yes. And that is the time I took 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I sent a mail to all my clients. I said, guys, I'm shutting it down. I will still help you for next 6 months to make sure that, it's transitioned out. But I'm going all in into that. And, I left everything, went back to, coming from my background where I come from, going back to zero money making, where I am the one putting the food on the table for my whole family, parents, everyone. It was a hard choice, but I think that it was very clear that this is going to be very, very big, and here we are.
That's a lot of conviction, especially back then. What was the ecosystem like in India, and kind of could you share more on how hard or easy or hard things were?
Yeah, I think at that point in time, it's, it was only initially some, crypto trading communities. There was almost zero development communities. There were 1 or 2 researchers.
What year are we talking here?
This year we are talking about 2017 early also, mid 2016 or early. That was very early for Ethereum also, right? But even 2017 early, there was nobody, even till 2017, and there were few developers who are working for future, foreign companies. And then we started in early 2018. And first time we received, we heard that ETHIndia is happening in this one, and we interacted with, my brother like Shakti, who's not here now, But what a man. And, we interacted and, we said that this is absolutely needed over there. And then when we were starting, we initially were thinking that, we will get probably 100 people registering and things like that. Like it was that low.
We thought that too.
At that point, but the good part was you said 44% were new in Web3. That time, I think 100% were new, new to Web3. So, but yeah, like, here we are. Like, I think you guys have done amazing job globally. And in India, like shout out to DevFolio team for, after all of these problems and all that, striving hard to build this dev community in India, organic dev community in India. And, I actually, like, if you can give me 1 or 2 more minutes, like, I wanted to share, like, when we saw Shakti over there, even, like, the DevFolio team was here and we all got emotional, looking at Shakti. Because, and that's the spirit of, I think, India's Web3 ecosystem also. Like, back in the day when, after ETHGlobal also 2018, then there was a big bear market and all that. Nobody would, give money for hackathons and things like that. And I and Shakti would have a lot of these discussions that, Shakti is like, I don't have enough runway for next 3-4 months and all that. And we would say, okay, let's keep trying. We would give, even we were like very small, like we never got any VC funding and all that, right? So sometimes like, $10,000, $20,000, these kind of grants that, okay, let's keep pushing, let's keep trying more. And then, came this, after all this bear market and all that, after 2019 ETHIndia, then came this COVID slump, right? Like absolutely everything got destroyed. And I remember that, after second or third day after, the lockdown, I and Shakti were discussing and, it looked like even for Polygon, things were tight, right? But then again, we said that, okay, bro, like, let's try more time. Let's try some more time. Let's try some more time. We started like DevFolio team switched into online hackathons completely. And then we started doing monthly hackathons and all that. And then, Shakti and I were, speaking, let's say, and then he says that I have some sort of fever tomorrow. I can't join this call. And, that was the time when he got COVID. And then he was in a tier 3 city in India. And, there was no like facility also in the hospital, no medicine coming in. And I started that crypto leaf fund, right? And we started, like, we worked very hard, like Akash and his team members and all that. And in the last few days, we even arranged a ventilator. Like somebody traveled from India with a whole ventilator to the hospital. And he enters the hospital and they say that it's not needed, right? But one thing, like, I was very sad for multiple days, but one thing I am proud of that we still tried really hard. And that's the spirit of Indian Web3. We keep trying, and one day we are going to make India Web3 superpower. Fucking superpower in Web3.
Yeah, we're going to dig a lot into that. And it's firsthand part of the same story. And there's a lot that's happened in the last 4 years. And I think the thing to remember is that we came out strong and united and bigger than we were even a year ago. And that's what we should remember.
Yep.
I do want to switch a bit of gears and kind of talk about how we see the future of this space. I want to ask a fairly blunt question. Polygon is not really a layer 2. What do you say to that?
Yes, like and we don't really, like as we said, Polygon is Ethereum's internet of blockchains. Like we don't subscribe to this narrow definition of layer 2, which means that, you have to keep all the data back on layer 2. You also need to have full security on layer 2 and everything. We believe that it is a spectrum. Even like chains like Polygon, chains like XDAI, Gnosis chain, they all have added a lot of network effects into Ethereum as far as the communities are.
So maybe let's talk about how you're aligned with Ethereum.
Yes. So that's exactly why. So, we are like hardcore Ethereum community people. And what we have done is, like, if you see in the last whole 2020 and Kartik, like, we have been seeing 2020, 21, 22, like this whole L1 wars. Like, if you ask yourself who saved Ethereum from these L1 wars, like, we were the ones who were fighting tooth and nail on the trenches, against these, like, they completely run away into adoption and all that. So, but the thing being that, like, we want to provide this Ethereum stack, the EVM stack, to the developers in the range of decentralization. At the end, what we are doing at Polygon is we are providing decentralized compute, right, on top of Ethereum. And that decentralized compute comes on a spectrum. You can have, like, if you are a startup who has only 100 users right now, do you need Ethereum kind of security? You probably might be okay with having your own, let's say, you're working on a side chain which has, like, maybe if it's a dedicated chain, even 2 validators. Or if you're on a public chain, you can have, like, like Polygon POS, 100 validators and all that, decent enough security for you. But if, as you keep growing across the cycle, you can actually be deployed on, like, ZK EVM today, which has full Ethereum security. And that's also I think that is our commitment to Ethereum. Like, we are the first, in market, fully available, source code available ZK EVM, fully built out, all features. And that's also is my message to all of you guys. Test out ZK EVM. Like, while all these bounties, I would say apply them on ZK EVM instead of like Mumbai testnet and all that. And you will see the experience. Like, already we know like more than 2,000 smart contracts have been deployed. The user experience is absolutely fabulous. And, we have David, my co-founder, who has built this ZK EVM, like product head there. He's there with you. If you have any queries, ask from him. And that's our commitment to Ethereum. And you will see some of very big announcements from us, which will, which will show that, what are our plans for Ethereum. Because that's the fun part about Ethereum. Ethereum is not only Vitalik's or Ethereum Foundation network. It is your network. It is our network. And we also have plans for Ethereum, and you will see.
That's wonderful. And speaking, I mean, I'm looking forward to what these announcements are. Hopefully we get some alpha here. But obviously ZK, everything is what the talk of the town is. Polygon has 3 ZK initiatives. Why do you have 3, and kind of what's the thinking behind having these parallel approaches?
Yes. So ZK technology, especially when we were starting like 1 year back, it was such an early stage. Like, although, we have seen a hockey stick growth in the ZK technology, but it was such an early stage that even betting on one out of 3-4 approaches available is very risky. And remember that we are coming from the hard burn of Plasma, right?
We remember Plasma,
like,
yes.
And we were the only team, like, nobody respects the fact that we were the only team which built a production-ready Plasma. Everybody just left it, like,
You're
it doesn't work and all that, no longer hyped up, so we are leaving, right? So we built it fully, but people ended up using the POS part more because it was easy to use. Now, we did not want to take, first of all, it was very clear in our mind that we don't want to be stuck in one approach which fails eventually, right? So we were very clear. So that is one reason. Second reason is that layer 2, as we say, layer 1 is for decentralization and security. Layer 2 is for experimentation, where apps can experiment at scale with user experience and things like that.
Is that the same as compute to you, or is there differentiation between experimentation and compute?
I didn't get the question.
So you said layer 2 is about experimentation. Is that the same as compute? Because you previously mentioned compute will be on there.
Okay. Yes, like, you have much more, spectrum of compute. You will have cheaper compute and you will have costly but more secure compute, and you can experiment with it. Like, what kind of application you are building, right? If you are building DeFi, you probably need very heavily like Ethereum secured capacity. But if you are building a casual game where people are going to own $5-10 worth of NFTs, then you are probably okay with like a, less decentralized, but or not secured with Ethereum, but fairly decentralized this thing, right? So, but what I was saying is that about these 3 ZK solutions, like these 3 ZK solutions, first 2 of them are working on EVM compatibility only, but they have the difference in approaches. But the third approach, and I don't want to disclose more over there, but as I said that we have very strong plans for Ethereum and Ethereum's defensibility. So next time somebody comes to you and say that, hey, I have this L1 and I am supporting Rust, or I am supporting this programming language, that programming language, we will make sure that you will get all those programming languages, all those fancy programming constructs available on top of Ethereum. That's why these 3 different approaches. And you're going to see some really fun stuff coming from us.
Hopefully you realize this thing, but you just announced something that you guys are working on. So I'm not going to repeat it. You guys have to watch and pause the video after this to really read between the lines. That's incredible.
Yes.
So in a way, it's a good thing if all 3 approaches work, and it's not just about increasing your odds to see one of the 3.
Yes, yes. And also, like, it was so early that, out of these 3 approaches, like, that's why we were able to build this ZK EVM in last, like, probably 8 months, where people are working for last 4 years. Why? Because we had this cross-pollination of these ideas. Like, and you might discuss this with David also, that, first what they were building at, at Hermes, borrowing a lot of ideas from zero, and Maiden, they were able to build it much faster, much more efficient, and much more concise. Like, we have some other ZK implementations which already are running into tens of thousands of lines of code, where we have like 4,000 very crisp and efficiently written lines of code, which can be very easily, not easily, but they can be fairly audited, and we believe that this will be much more production ready, much faster than anybody else.
I mean, I can't wait for that, because all the hackers get to try this out and break it
Try this out,
apart, so
guys.
you get to fix it after. I think a lot of what you just said so far is coming from the perspective of applying research and kind of making those things go to production. And that's great, but you're also at the same time talking to a lot of companies with partnerships, launches, getting more and more consumer applications into this space. Research stuff aside, what is the biggest problem that the Polygon ecosystem is facing right now? Or rather, what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, so I think, like, with all of what has happened in the past few days or weeks, it's a good and the bad part both. Like, because last 1 year, there has been war cry that, we need to go mainstream. We are too niche. But I think with what all happened, like, the mainstream adoption will become slightly slower. But then we have to go back to our roots with the niche community and, build out and work more on these niche use cases. That's why I think this this ETHGlobal and, this ETHGlobal hackathon, ETHIndia and other hackathons become very, very relevant, because here is where many kind of new ideas are going to be taking birth, right? And those ideas are going to become very relevant. That's why, like, I mean, it's very important for you guys also to build differentiated products in DeFi, in NFT, and, there is a very high possibility that, you might get accelerated growth in some of those things, because the focus has come back to these things instead of, like, only being on the Instagram and Reddits and, these big Starbucks of the world. The focus is back to the developer here and back to self-custody and all those core fundamentals of Web3. And that's why it's very relevant. Like, I hope that just like we have seen in the past ETHIndia, like, we'll see some big companies coming out, from this.
I totally agree with that, but I'm gonna give you a hard time here. You didn't answer my question. What is the biggest problem Polygon is facing?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So one of the biggest problem is, I want to see more innovation. Like, that's what I said in this one also. More innovation. It's not like specific to Polygon, but I would say in India ecosystem also, more innovative products coming out, like, which have some sort of differentiated product offering, go-to-market offering, and things like that. Like, it's no longer relevant, like, if you guys come up like, okay, I build an NFT marketplace, or I build a lending borrowing system. No, what is the differentiation in your product? And also, like, I want to give a message that, across the overall, like, this Polygon Connect yesterday, like 2,000 people were there, and multiple events, like that old model of, like, this, like, and especially relevant to Web3, that, you do a token and this token will do well and things like that. That does not work. Not only it is not recommended, it does not work now. You're just going to, if let's say you end up launching a token with a non-differentiated product and all that, and you are thinking that I'll get listed and, this token will do, like market dance and whatever. I think, first of all, it doesn't work now because the market does not have that kind of capital. We all had like 15 years of bull market, infinite capital. That is no longer relevant. And also the community is much more scrutinizing for everything. So, when you want to do this, make sure you do it right. Don't do it for the sake of it, for the heck of it, and don't do it in a hassle way. Build a product, build a community. And when the community and you see a real relevant value accrual, value capture for the token, then only, go for those token related things. Don't, chase the token, mania. That is going to, be harmful for your longer term journey.
And it's not just that it doesn't work. Like, I mean, we know that factually because we've seen that from experience. And
exactly.
There's a lot of years of case studies here of proving this point.
No, I learned also from you, like, because I've been very focused on exponential ecosystem growth. And I think I have, debated with you also multiple times. And I learned one thing always from you whenever I met you all over the world, that you were always thinking of, like, okay, right now it works, it's hyped up and all that. But you would be like, I don't see how it survives 10 years from now, 5 years from now, right? And I think that's why, like, people like you who have made investments in those things, those would have survived. Large part of your investment would have survived. Otherwise, many of them got wiped out.
Only the paranoid survive.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm also, like, trying to learn more from that, like, even for the ecosystem, we want to support those applications who we see that these are going to exist 5 years, 10 years from now, and these are going to build sustainable business models, not only about, like, this cash, raise and funds and things like that.
And this is an interesting theme, right? There's so many engineers here, so many developers here, and we're excited about just playing with the latest technologies, the latest frameworks, and we see interesting smart contract use cases as innovative for what we think Web3 can do. But it's way bigger than that, and we kind of touched on this thing. So I want to actually go back to something that you said earlier, which is the impact of crypto is not just in software. Let's talk about crypto relief. Tell us about what crypto relief was and what's happened in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, crypto relief, for example,
Tell us how it started.
Yeah, so crypto relief started when, my sister traveled to my place, and India was having this huge, like, wave, Delta wave of COVID and all that. And everybody was left, right, and center. Like, I was trying to volunteer for a few people, helping them with money, things like that. And then we would start with 12 people in the morning, and then by afternoon, 6 are gone, right? That was the kind of situation that was there. And I was already, like, trying to do something. But then my sister traveled to my place, and she got COVID, and I also got COVID. Like, actually, when I started and wrote that tweet, that's a very angry tweet, actually. Yeah, I myself have had COVID the second time. I was like, screw this virus, like, because we had this fight and flight response, right? Until now, at that time, we were we were in the flight mode. Just go inside the house, stay there, locked up, everything. I said, screw this virus. Not only I'm going to fight with this virus with my family, but I'm going to help other people also. And I wrote that tweet. I thought, like, probably we'll get like $1 million, $2 million. But then, what Vitalik ended up doing, like, with the Shiba coin.
With $1 billion.
Yeah, even he thought, like, later on, he said that, I thought it is going to be $10 million or something, right? And then, we ended up getting like $450 million and all that. And I'm very proud to say, even though it's like slightly unfortunate for Web3 and crypto industry in India, that, it's like, here it's like a environment of like slight, distrust on it and all that, because, like, governments fully don't understand this. But an important statistics for you all, like, even in this room, if you are an adult and you got vaccinated, 1 out of every 3 of you guys are vaccinated using the syringe donated by Crypto Relief. Like, we donated.
That's incredible. That's 200 million people?
200 million syringes we donated with UNICEF. And at that point in time, like, India got vaccines, but now there was a syringe problem. Like, we did not have it. So we liaised with UNICEF, worked all around the world, and got in 200 million syringes in India.
That is an impact that you literally cannot compete with.
Yes, and I want to say, like, that is the impact of, like, Vitalik also, like, not people keep asking me, but people don't, like, realize that it's all because of Vitalik. That's the impact of Vitalik, and I would say ETH community also, because he only gathered this thing. So shout out to the whole Ethereum community globally.
Ethereum is the ultimate coordination mechanism for the world, and this is incredible progress.
Yep.
All right, I want to just, I want to try to wrap this up soon. So let's go into a couple of specifics about what we should look forward to this weekend. 2,000 people are sitting in front of us. The camera can't see it, but we can. What should they be thinking about, and what should they be excited about to build in this space?
What I'm excited to build?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, like, and I want to give this message again to all Indian developer fraternity, right? Build niche crypto use cases. Like, I see the tendency in Indian developers that we are still going towards utility. Like, okay, let me build on this particular thing, like a SaaS. Like, our mental model is more like, building SaaS, building some profitable business and all that. Like, I am saying that, start thinking about niche crypto use cases. Like, if you are building DeFi, build some, these option models, perpetuals, and, more optimized dexes and things like that. Like, there are so many ideas going around, even in DeFi. Like, think about that. Like, if there are any finance people, liaise with them, brainstorm these ideas and all that. Even in NFTs and PFPs, I don't think like, a lot of Indian developers have done big.
Yeah,
So try.
maybe as you're answering that, like I'd love to kind of hear your thoughts on like NFTs and DAOs and DeFi. Like, are you excited about still those things, or how do you see them now?
The NFTs?
NFTs, DeFi, DAOs, like as topics, do you think there's still room to build more?
For sure, like, I feel that now they are much more relevant. Like, if you were thinking of building a mainstream mass media kind of application, now the focus is back onto these niche use cases. That's why I'm saying that, maybe spend more time on your idea even here, and, once you go home, because I feel like my mission is that how we are going to make India a Web3 superpower is by building multiple unicorns, Web3 unicorns from India. And they will only be built if you build differentiated products. And right now, the right time is for building those niche use cases. Like, if you are building like NFT marketplace, like think like what SudoSwap has done, right? Can you solve those kind of use cases? NFT liquidity, like, don't build the straightforward use cases. Like, can you solve NFT liquidity by some means, right? Or in DAOs, how can you solve decision-making processes. In DAO, like, that's the biggest problem, right? Think about like if DAOs are going to be running businesses, then they would have to take some sort of privacy decisions also. How can you make sure that, there are things which can be like highly confidential thing in the context of a DAO, but still the DAO can take the decision on that, right? Think about these kind of things. And even in DeFi, like for example, how DeFi products can manage their treasury, how they can increase the liquidity in their protocols and things like that. Like, not the plain vanilla use cases, because right now the markets we are in, like not only in crypto, generally startup markets, it's very, very hard to raise capital. And in order for you to grow and go to the next stage, you need to build these differentiated products. In this market, only the paranoid will survive, and only the differentiated will survive. So, make sure that you have those differentiation and build those niche use cases. Like, let's build most innovative products, at least idea level. I know that in 2 days you can't build, but at least on an idea level, let's see some of the best projects, some of the most innovative projects coming out of you guys. That's what I want you guys to do.
I know it sounds very counterintuitive, but to synthesize, this is the perfect time for you to just try things because it might be cool and not because it can be a business. This is how large change happens. And once something is working or once something is interesting to somebody, you will figure out eventually how do you turn that into a product or a business. But especially when you have a small time constraint here, the goal should be experimentation, as you already talked about. And it should be the weird, crazy shit that you really want to see.
That's why, like, I think I forgot when you asked that what is the thing that keeps you up and all that, like what is the thing you're worried about. And at Polygon also, like, we always, as I was discussing with you, that we wanted to build Polygon as the business layer of Web3, where the businesses are built. But especially now the time is that, again, going back to the core Web3 roots, where you build things which are really cool. They might not look like as a business today. Like Uniswap didn't look like a business when Hayden started, right?
We didn't know what AMMs could do. Like, now it's the default.
Yes, exactly. And build things like that. And because they are cool, you are like extremely thinking about something innovative, or think about building things which have an impact. Like, this is what I feel for Polygon community. I want to grow this segment where people who want to change the world, not only build the business, who want to change the world, those kind of people, into the Polygon community also. Especially I was in Europe, and because like a lot of our co-founders, like especially Jordi and all that, Jordi is also a legend of the Ethereum community. Like, I saw a lot of like pride in a European community of Polygon. Like, even I heard this term called Polygon Maxi. Yeah. So,
I think that's what we call success.
Yes. So, so people are trying to build things which can make an impact on the world. And that's why I think we also have a track where this is public goods. Like, how can you make an impact on the world with these things. Try to build those things, not immediately focused on that this can be a business, this can be a business. This is the right time to build those cool experimentations ideas, because some of them are going to be so compelling that they will be the ones that will end up getting capital and growth opportunities.
I think that's a perfect note to end this on. Sandeep, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. Let's make it big, guys.